last week. Bit quiet for your ball. It climbed over the top, the 360, and that is a nomination for sure. Danaher! Oh! Maybe that was big! That's what you want.
Finally, someone's caught one this weekend.
They all had a go. One man pulled it down. Jordan Lewis, hello.
Hey, boys.
Jack Revolt.
Hey, Jared, how are you?
Do you rate the Danaher mark?
Yeah, I reckon it's good. I reckon, though, the thing that's underplaying it is the fact that he's landed on his feet. Like a cat. I would have liked to seen him go down maybe on a shoulder or something like that.
Sampy landed on his feet, didn't he? Did Sampy, when he took Mark of the Year?
Yeah, he
landed on his
elevation
feet.
and...
Yeah, but you got to land not on your feet, I think.
Let me talk to someone who's been up that high.
Jack? What's I'm going to ask Jared.
I reckon I took my best mark on Sammy Gilbert, the same as Joey Danaher too, so he's developing a little bit of a habit there, but it's a pretty surreal feeling. I mean, especially when you get that second little kick as well, sometimes when the back or the person in front of you jumps to maybe try and mark the ball or spoil it and you get a nice little kick. It's always
Listen to it.
Bit of fun. You always maybe a sneaky little look up at the screen to see what it looks like before you get up.
I know what you're talking
about. Yeah, I know.
And when you don't hang on to them, when you're up there and you did all the hard work and you don't quite hang on to it, oh, damn it.
Yeah, it's a bit of that one at the end of the... a bit of that one at the end of the game where you had 6 shots. You say, I should have kicked 6 today, and you've kicked 2-4 or something like that. It's like, I should have taken mark of the year today, but it can be very frustrating. Yeah.
Chris Judd said that Cyril is the best player at Hawthorn. He reckons that the barometer is still Luke Hodge. Who, if they were lining up, who would you take, Hodge or Rioli?
Well, Geordie had me in a headlock before I came in here, saying that he should be the one that I should mention. But I just love Cyril. And I think he's really tough. I know you wrote an article about the hard players in the competition. I look at Cyril and I think the tackle pressure he puts on, and he's a really tough player. He puts his head in the hole, and as far as barometers go...
I've never seen him pull out of anything. I've never seen him avoid a collision or anything like that.
No, not at all. And I think he's got a great ability to go back and mark the ball back with the flight as well. He uses his body really well, but if he's on, he can spark them. I saw in the grand final against West Coast as well. It was just the barometer there and got him going. So, yeah, I love the way he plays.
So Hodge and Lewis up against the wall, who would you choose?
Probably Hodgie. You're close second, mate. Close second.
That's a good one.
When he plays like that, Cyril, and there was an edge to it, I think, on Thursday night. What does he mean within the environment?
Oh, he's huge. And, I mean, you speak about those sort of players like Hodgie and Cyril. They don't need too many touches. Some guys need 30 touches to be involved in the game and have an influence. These guys could have an influence on the game with 5 or 10 touches. And that's how important they are to the side. But, yeah, I think Port Adelaide tried to rough him up early in the game, and that sort of got him going, and I think he enjoys that. He enjoys the challenge of proving someone wrong, and as Jack said, he's a tough little player and enjoys the combative style of football, and he prepared mentally really well. He missed the week with his grandfather's funeral, so he had a break and then came back ready to play.
I've got to ask you something. There was an incident in the game last week when the ball went over your head. And the next incident, you nearly killed yourself going for the contest. You know, the two issues I'm talking about. That first one, was it a case of they were coming, or did you lose your footing? Here it is here. And I'll be honest, I looked at it and I went, oh, Jordan.
Yeah.
And I watched the replay, and I'm not having a crack at Chappelle because the next time you went for the ball, you put yourself in a position where I thought, you're going to kill yourself here. What happened there? You knew they were coming. The pack was coming out. And then look at this one.
4 minutes later.
Yeah, I think at the time I thought I jumped underneath the ball, but looking back, I think I jumped underneath the ball and then braced for contact. I mean, you can look at it.
You're allowed to brace for contact.
Yeah, and
because
I think
it was
that's
coming.
Yeah, I obviously didn't time the jump that well, and then you brace, and obviously when you brace, you're going back, your head does go forward, and that's. I mean, I think I've built up enough points in the bank to say, hey, that's,
you don't have to justify. We're not here asking you to justify.
Yeah, and
I'm just asking about that incident. How did you feel at the time?
Yeah. And the Port players came to me, and I mean, to be honest, it didn't worry me at all.
That was fun that they went at you.
Well, you just look at them. But yeah, and that's part of footy. I mean, you move on. I don't dwell on those sort of decisions.
So when the next time came, that previous incident wasn't in your head. The next one was just, oh, here it is. I'm going with it because that's what I do.
I think what you've got to do as a player and what we try and tell our younger guys is you got to move on from mistakes. I mean, whether it be a mistake like that or whether it be a missed kick, you've just got to move on straight away. And guys who do stew on those decisions, it really affects the way they play. So
we've spoken about that a couple of times. And bringing in you, Jack, where players, a really big issue in football, I've been told, is that players stress over an incident or a mistake, whatever you want to call it, and they're still thinking about it at the half-time break, and they're sitting down in the corner going, God Almighty, where accomplished players, accomplished teams say, right, mistake, do it, right, let's go, what's the next play?
Well, Geordie spoke about the points in the bank, and I think for a senior player that's played 250 games, and
that's a given. That's what I said.
It's easy for a guy like that to wipe it, but I can see how a younger player could maybe stress about something like that, especially if it's noticed by the opposition as well. As I suppose the Port Blokes saw that. If that was a younger player, it could play on their mind.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt if a young player does that and he didn't understand what he did, and then players come up and remonstrate, it could play on his mind. But I mean, as experienced players, you move on. It's water off a duck's back. You go to the next contest.
If it was a young bloke, I reckon the unsociable Hawks would have got into him like the Port Boys got into you. I expected them to do that. When it happened, I thought this would be interesting. And I thought, don't throw a punt. I was thinking, don't throw anything. But they did what you guys have done for 8 years.
You can't do much these days. So, water off a duck's back.
Footy can take you to dark places, though. As Matthew Lloyd wrote, he's spoken a couple of times about the depths that it took him to, and then he related it to the Travis Cloke pain, and Cloke had just played his best game of a couple of seasons. Can it get you down? Yeah,
I reckon it's a huge mental battle playing footy, especially when you're going through a rough trot. And I went through a rough trot, I think, at the sort of the early to mid part of 2014, and I started to really struggle, and I started to doubt myself, and started to think I was going to be dropped. That was the thing that was really playing on my mind. And you hear little things, and the voice in the back of your head starts to get into you. But I think that's where your coaching staff and your senior players and your mates are a really good sounding board for you. And the one for me was, I remember going around to Damien Hardwick's house on a Monday night after I'd played an absolute stinker on the Sunday, and he sat me down for dinner and had a couple of beers with him, and we just talked about footy and talked about life, and it sort of took a real weight off my shoulders. And I think it sort of took for obviously Lloydie to go from playing the traditional full forward role to being given a little bit of a licence to go up the ground and try something new. But
it was the vicar. He went and saw the priest.
A different person.
It was really interesting.
That took to understand that he was struggling.
Have you ever gone through a period where it's not sought help, get advice, get clarity from someone outside the football club?
No, I haven't. But just on the article, I thought it was one of the best articles I've read this year, because I think the best thing we can do as present players and also players that are out of the game is tell stories and how we've dealt with overcoming form issues. And for Lloydie to be obviously one of the best players that have ever played the game, to still go through a form slump and get out the other side, and he went to extreme measures. I mean, he went to someone who was non-judgmental, didn't know his background, the intricacies of the club, and I think that's important to get someone that is not involved with the club and that doesn't judge you, because a lot of the stuff that we do, whether it be media, opposition players, coaching staff, we're judged every day. So to go to someone that's not going to judge you straight away with the problems that you're facing, I think it's a relief off everyone's shoulders.
I agree with you. I thought it was a terrific article.
So, and we've spoken about Travis Cloke in this forum before. Was it... were you pleased to see him play well and get through his struggles?
No, I was pleased for Travis, obviously, to play well. And I look at a lot of other key forwards in the competition to see how they're going. And look, I hope he has a really strong finish to the end of the year, bar when we play him in, I think, a few weeks' time. So, but it just proves to anyone that's in a position that's, I suppose, struggling to get a kick in AFL or at your local league, that I can imagine the perseverance that he's had to go back and be a high-profile player playing at VFL and deal with what comes with that, whether it's opposition players or opposition supporters or the media hype that he's been through.
So the media is the issue. When we did our interview a couple of weeks ago, Jack, you spoke about hating the media, because it would have felt like at times, every time they wrote about you, it was negative, 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 negative. How much can that drag a person down? The constant media scrutiny, which often is, more often than not, it's negative.
I suppose it's a cycle, and it's something that's been taught to me by previous leadership people, that if you let what other people say about you, you lose your self-talk cycle. Like, you've got your own opinion of yourself, but if, say, I read an article that you write about me and it may be more negative based, then if I continue to buy into it, then it starts to become the reality about yourself. So breaking the cycle is a really hard thing to do. And yes, Travis plays at Collingwood. They're an arch rival of Richmond. But to see, I like seeing guys break that cycle and come out the other side and play good footy.
And look, one more. You were criticised for being too aggressive all those years ago. Not that long ago, but long enough that we can say all those years ago. Yeah, you were heavily criticised. You were called names, and I'll repeat them if you want me to. You were called a thug, and you're dirty, and you're a sniper.
They're only words.
But part of it was probably true. It seems like I'm having a go at you tonight. I'm not.
No,
but part of it was true, Jordan. Were you young enough to just say, bugger them, I don't give a stuff what they say? Or do you actually get to a time in your life and saying, you know what, I've probably got to change the way I play a bit?
No, and no disrespect, but the only opinion that counts for me is Clarko's opinion and the coach's opinion. I do not care what anyone else says, whether it be a media commentator, a friend, maybe my partner, you'd care what they say, but the only opinion that matters is the people within the walls, and that is so true. And the quicker you can tell these young kids that if you read an article that is negative about you, don't worry about it. It should not affect the way that you perform at the club or perform on a weekend. And the sooner that you can get that out of your thinking, the better and more consistent you will play. Because at the end of the day, it's your opinion. You're allowed your opinion. It shouldn't affect the way you prepare mentally or prepare for a game. The only opinion that should matter is the guys within the club.
Alistair Clarkson set the tone for Thursday night. He did it at the airport, and then the game transpired and he was out on the ground. I think those were really significant moments when he's out on the ground in the aftermath. Are they?
Yeah, I think he invested pretty heavily within this game. I think our past games against Port Adelaide have been quite soft in the initial stages of the game. We got jumped when we were there last time, and he's got a little bit of history with Port Adelaide, obviously being there and being a part of success there.
Is there any history between him and Kenny Hinkley?
Not that I know of. No.
Because I can't remember, and the football world couldn't remember the last time Clarkson was so pointed. He's usually so gracious when he talks about opposition. They're a really good team, and we're not on the money this week. We're going to get beaten. This weekend it was bang, bang, bang. They're not tough enough. They're this, they're that. I'd not heard him for some time talk so disparagingly.
And I think it was probably more directed at us, more so than them, because we haven't started well against them in the past. And just to be, hey, I'm going to razzle Port Adelaide up, so we better be ready for it. So I think that was the message that he was getting across.
Is it exciting when he does it?
I like it. Yeah. I think everyone's too nice in the media sometimes these days. Why not throw a little barb out there every now and then to get
players and coaches are too nice? Yeah, I think you all are as well. We spoke about honesty 2 weeks ago. We need more of it.
Imagine if you could write an article each week and just be brutally honest. You'd get readers.
It'd be awesome.
Are you excited by Thursday night?
Yeah, can't wait. Yeah, it's going to be a really good match. From what I hear, I think it's a sellout. So Sydney have got 2 big games in a row.
They're tough.
Yeah,
we know that.
Nothing changes with that.
Nothing changes, but they were very superior with their aggression and intensity last week. Did you watch that game?
Yeah, I mean, to go down to Geelong and beat Geelong on their home deck says a lot about a side.
I can't wait. I think it's going to be one of the games of the season this week. Live, uninterrupted, no ads apparently on Fox Footy. You'll be watching, Jack.
No barbs there. I thought you might have thrown one out there, Geordie.
Do you want to say anything to Sydney?
I'll cross Bud.
Your game, Jack, is Robbo's picked up on the Conker free kick back page today. umpire's department says, yes, spot on with the free kick. So just as the generic comment that we usually ask for without being critical is when you watch that free kick, do you expect that to be holding the ball?
They talk about no prior, and then they talk about showing an attempt to get rid of it.
You've got to show something more than holding on to it.
But when you see it, do you expect it to be holding the ball or do
No.
you expect it to be a bounce?
No.
A bounce?
Bounce.
Jack?
Bounce.
So we've got a problem then. We've got a problem then because we've got some commentators not knowing, the players believing that it's a bounce, the umpire's department coming out today saying that is clearly the perfect adjudication by Jordan Bannister. He gave him time to get rid of it.
Actually, when I see it from that angle, I might change my opinion.
Okay.
Because it did look
sit on
like
the fence?
it did look like he held it in, and not.
It didn't look like it.
Yeah.
He held it in.
Yeah, I'm changing.
All right. Strong-willed, playing in the ground. Jordan,
angle.
good luck on
Gutless.
Thursday night.
Well done, you two.
Jack, good to see you.